Добрый день.
Добрый день. Всем видим. Спасибо.
Уважаемые коллеги, добрый день. Ну, давайте будем начинать.
Good afternoon. Everybody is here. I'm Maxim Lazovsky. I'm partner of Creative Way company, and I'm moderate today one of the most important and interesting section dedicated to creative industries and all which is related to this, how to develop it, institutionalize it, and I'd like to present my colleagues. Sergey Afanasyev is on his way. He is Deputy Region Governor Khanty-Mansiysk. We have Zuborev Andrei, Director General, My Business, UGRA Entrepreneurship Support Fund. We have online Afanasy Savin, who is head in the interdepartmental project office for the development of creative industries in the Far East, Center for Creative Economy Development. Гребнева Елена, CEO Creative Way, Valeria Grigorievna, Director for Digital Content, Exmo Publishing House. We also expect Alexey Bunkov, Head of Division Institute for Digital Content Support and Development, Member Russian Committee for the Unesco Information for All Program. Maria Rogacheva, together with us, Director, International Cultural Center, Interclub, Russian Rudayan University. We have Evgeny Nemov, Head IPNES Patent Office for Intellectual Property Protection, Chair Committee for Intellectual Property Legislation Protection and Commercialization, Khanty-Mansiysk Regional Branch of the All Russian Public Organization Business Russia. It's a real pleasure to see among us businessmen like Bulat Saifulin, Artem Burlutsky, and Alexey Ivanov. They will introduce themselves later. Well, colleagues, we have 2 hours to go, so the time limit for presenters 10 minutes. Well, actually, I would like to see the vivid discussion, questions and answers. Today, we are talking about innovations in creative industries. And what is important is that we are talking about this in UGRA. It's the first region which adopted creative industries law. So he's number 1 from this point of view in Russia. And first, I'd like to offer the floor to representatives of UGRA, and I'd like to ask you to tell us about what kind of creative industries are developing in UGRA and what kind of best practices you have here. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to see so many participants on this section. It actually shows, like our statistics, that the number of creative industries is growing, and their turnover is growing, and it's very important for our region. For us, intellectual property development is very important. We are a basic organization when it comes to creative industries in our region, and it's not our entrepreneurship. We work actively together with cultural and educational departments. We interact actively. I mentioned certain cases later, but my presentation I'd like to subdivide it into three blocks. My colleagues prepared presentation for me. So first and foremost, creative entrepreneurs, it's easy for them to create their product. They think like that. And we all would like to have unique products, well, something special. Ordinary products you can buy via Wildberries or Ozone. But our first and foremost task is to, through educational programs, to train entrepreneurs financial skills. Those who have never been entrepreneurs, they don't know how many problems businessmen is facing. For us, it's quite ordinary. You come to your workplace, work certain hours, and leave for home. But businessmen, they have problems with clients, with verification structures, etc., etc. And first, we shall train them how to simplify their work. First and second. Second block has to do with intellectual property. Evgeny will confirm that we have more claims from businessmen who are claiming their rights. So we shall understand whether we have to protect their rights or not. There are certain people, there are certain businesses which actually earn money on that claims. But recently, we take a photo from internet, we put it in Contact social network. It was there 100 days. After 100 days, businessmen told us that I registered as businessman 1 year ago. I registered my property rights vis-a-vis this photo, so my price is 200 rubles per hour. So we in our foundations we started to face this kind of problems related to people who actually are creating their unique products. At our forum, we also stress the necessity to register your rights. And new support measures will be aimed at helping businessmen in registering their property rights. One can talk a lot about the support of creative industries. My colleague Evgeny will add to that. We certain time ago, me and my team, we actually asked them to help us in developing support measures for creative industries. And I'm not talking only about educational program. I'm talking also about advertisement and other support measures related to the development of this projects and this kind of services. We have a request on behalf of businessman, request to give them support in organization of fairs and expos. Well, COVID actually undermined these efforts, but after COVID, we've organized several expos, several fairs, and we actually get friendly with culture. I'm talking about puppet theater of Khanty-Mansiysk. In Khanty-Mansiysk, we will organize during the fair. We will organize this puppet performance. What else? That's it.
Большое спасибо, Андрей
Thank you, Andrei Alexandrovich.
Интересно и содержательно.
Very interesting presentation. You've mentioned a lot of measures. I support your interaction with the cultural sector. Without culture, creative industries are not possible, and without cultural infrastructure in this region, one won't be able to solve all the problems. A question: do you have examples of companies or startups which have been supported, which were able to use it correctly, and which have become a autonomous or independent business or company? Oh, I forgot to mention this. Talking about financial tools, this year we've introduced a certificate where a businessman could be registered and could get support via this mechanism in protecting his or her rights, in getting patents. It's a very important service for businessmen. Talking about specific examples, on our site, you will be able to find information about that. But I would like to mention Bailya Remslamovna, who offered services to kids. She was trained in our center, and now she organized a company called Relief, and she is now a successful businesswoman. Good to hear, because our efforts should lead to creative industries to become real industries. And industry, it's not a number of authors or a number of patents. Or we need companies. If you are a company, you pay taxes, and you're transparent, and it's easy for a state to support such a company, creative company. That's why if you have these examples of best practices, one shall just applaud it. Thank you, Andrei Alexandrovich. Let's go forward. And we have a strategic agency, or strategic initiative agency representative, Sandra Savin. Well, this agency is well known. It's one of the basic centers dealing with creative industries. You know that a regional standard have been developed and adopted recently. The standard is dealing with creative industries development. Afanasy, you have the floor. Good afternoon, Maxim, dear colleagues. It's a pity I was not able to come physically. I visited Yugra, I visited Khanty-Mansiysk. Comparing to other regions, Khanty-Mansiysk was the first to adopt creative industry support law. There are a lot of bright people, Vladislav Ivanov or Sergei Zhukov, who are bright guys in the creative industries area.
Вот Югра и, может быть, еще 10-15 регионов стали такими
is one of the region who became a locomotive, a driving engine in creative industry area. They were the first to invest in creative industries. Others are behind them, but using their experience, other regions would be able to develop their own creative industry standards. I'm sure that Elena Grebneva will agree with me. There is no possibility to develop a rigid standard like GOST. Creative industries are flexible, and one shall not one shall not be an obstacle in their way of developing themselves. each sector, creative sector, has its own peculiarities, but one should follow common sense, and other regions should follow the suit of UGRA. Well, Natalia Vladimirovna, former governor, she always participated in different creative platforms, and it's very important. I dealt with the economic development of a region in Russia, and I do understand now that very often you are facing misunderstanding or lack of understanding. What does creative industries mean? Is it a culture or not? But creative industries, they generate employment, they are part of economic development, and only one person in the region, in the region, or first actually person, governor, can solve these problems. The governor shall meet with businessmen, and if it's so, resources will be there and initiatives are there. First, second, we have 12 steps like this. Second step is to create a basic infrastructure, like infrastructural development center in the region, and it's not well. There is no need to concentrate all measures on just on such in such an organization. There should be widespread range of support measures. There are certain examples how to create such organizations. Some transform existing business for this business to be able to play this creative role. Others create new organizations, and quite often they create a structure with one or two people who are not even authorized to sign a letter, official letter, not authorized to interact with local authorities. So one shall deal directly and seriously with creative industries. And this kind of industries should be financed adequately. The best way is to create an organization, and the best way of financing is to use extra budgetary resources. There are regions where big companies actually finance this kind of innovation center, and
только ту сумму, которая вот на процентах ежегодно набегает, чтобы эти такие
they could use their income percentage to finance this kind of center. What else do we have in our standard? And we are dealing not only with creative cluster industries, we are talking business incubators, business parks, and other platforms. It's all, this is all part of creative industries sector. What kind of support measures one think about? It's beneficial rates for their renting a place, and one first should understand what kind of industries could generate more income, to generate more employment. We know about Rybrik Park in Murmansk region. After certain propaganda activities like films, etc., this park, Rybrik Park, has become a certain point of attraction in Russia. So creative industries, they follow trends. They could become a toolbox for a region to attract tourists. And the simplest way is to analyze which industries are developing organically in a region. In a certain region, we can see that cinema is developing.
смогли сегодня
those businessmen were able to prove their usefulness, and the simple way is to support them for others to follow their suit, and in such a way a region could select industries to be part of creative industries. It's easier than to create from scratch a company or a creative industry sector.
По такому пути можно идти, но тогда дольше дороже.
One can follow this approach, but it would be more expensive. And last but not least, UGRA. It's an economic basis of our country. Gas, oil will remain a pillar for our economy. Even
Большую часть экономики занимает сырье. Они спрашивают,
in
зачем?
Yakutia, where raw materials are a bigger part of our economy, and they ask us quite often, why do we need creative industries? But if we analyze, for example, school kids, a lot of school kids dealing with creative industries, developing games, films, etc. So one should give opportunity to such kids to be part of this creative industries. If not, they would leave their home place. They will move to other regions, to other cities, and all regions should pay close attention to that. That's it. Thank you. Thank you, Afanasy. If you go lower to an operational level, how? We know that a lot of regions have signed with Russia an agreement to introduce regional standards. So what shall be done in this area? Well, you know that we have practical experience in developing this kind of standards. First, we sign agreement. We have 55 regions willing to join the standards. 44 agreements have been signed already. We create working group in each and every region. In UGRA, we are close to do that.
These are independent persons which work not in the ministries or agencies. They can independently assess what needs are. Just look from an expert point of view what is needed, and they can confirm that this region doesn't need this kind of startups because it has already all necessary infrastructure. We have a business incubator, for example, but it doesn't work efficiently to address all these needs, to support all the entrepreneurs, or probably this business incubator addresses other needs, and some other measures, support measures are needed. So this is the organizational structure of our entity. Thank you very much. Let's applaud to Afanasy. Let's move on. So we talk about the entrepreneurship, entrepreneur skills, and of course they need to be applied, introduced into practice, so and advertised. I would like to give the floor to Elena Grebneva. What kind of practical measures do you have, and do you apply them? Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the invitation to speak. If we talk about the successful practices in creative industry, these are the industries which support us to learn and to teach other people from business to change, to adapt the creative industry. This is the work with the intellectual property, and as a marketing, this technologies are very important. When we talk to businessmen, to business entrepreneurs, we identify the important points of communication, planning, teamwork, and assessment of the results of the work done, and this is one of the important elements of the competence. And of course, the leadership competence, which allowed for some flexibility and promptly respond to the market demands. Should we talk to the practices, how this system or these practices are working at the various levels, regional, federal, and so on? We have studied the foreign experience, Russian experience, and we are prepared to share some successful cases. And I would like to mention some of them. First of all education should be based on the application methodology. All students should be, the learning programs should be based on the result-oriented basis. Because initially we had theory, now when using only theory, you cannot operate successfully in the market. That is why it should be application-oriented education. Second element, tutorship. It's quite a successful case. We apply this system in many education institutions. So tutorship is in business practices and creative industry is very successful and allowed to achieve very high results. These are the necessary elements which are linked with the practical training in order to apply them in the business work. Another important element is the like-minded group, creation of like-minded groups. In order to increase the level of and skills of communication, especially among the businessmen, and it is very important to ensure collaboration and contacts with the leaders from other regions. So, because some regions could have some experience or cases of success, and it's good when they meet each other, I mean the representatives of various regions, to talk to each other, to communicate, and to see could they borrow some successful cases to be applied in their regions. This is a set of tools, and for 2 years we have been implementing the project Camp of Creative Leaders, intended to train the leaders from various regions. And as Andrei Alexandrovich said, it includes intellectual property, financing, thinking, and we also have a creative industry skills to think creatively and to speak publicly at the meetings, conferences, and so on and so forth, and to share this experience about possible cooperation and collaboration and duplication of practices. We have more than 4,000 entrepreneurs in this program, and we had a possibility to invite entrepreneurs from various regions to send them to the successful regions, Tyumen, Ulyanovsk region, Moscow. We brought these entrepreneurs to the successful regions in order they could see with their own eyes how it works. We know that creative industries could prosper if they have solid contacts with the leaders of these regions. If there are such contacts, then creativity grows. And that is why we have organized the meetings with the legal authorities, leadership of these regions, to discuss all these matters. So the whole complex of various tools, which I mentioned before, which are very important, allow us to bring all this to the higher level. Why I'm talking this? Because for 2 years of the implementation of these projects, we have trained 4,000 entrepreneurs. They produce good results in terms of revenues, higher revenues, or leadership in the region. Of course, maybe results are moderate, but we just at the beginning of this projects, and we believe that we need to develop this, and now we are trying also to borrow the foreign experience and best practices. So the project is under implementation. We in full contacts with the regions. We test these specific tools in some regions and share cases with entrepreneurs so that to disseminate this information as wide as possible. Thank you very much, Елена. My question to you, how these practices you mentioned could be integrated into the regional programs available already there? Do we talk about the programs to promote creative industries with the support of creative initiatives? There is a point, they include the point of specialization or local contact, so it means the contact with the local industries. We identify these industries which need support and promotion, and we also trying to identify the backbone organization to deal with in this region, and this theory, of course, needs to be discussed with the experts from creative industry. So this backbone organization could moderate those educational programs which would be implemented in the region, because it knows the local content, the local authorities of the regions, and it knows the demand which exists in this region. So it could initiate the identification of specific areas in which we need to work, the contacts with the Ministry of Culture, and moderate this process further. Since they have infrastructure available and they understand the reality of this region. And of course, the backbone organization, they, after studying the practices from other regions, they could replicate these standards in their own regions. This is how we think. Thank you very much. Let's move on, colleagues. And the next speaker is not accidental speaker, because we need to get to a higher level of companies and to talk to the market of content creation. I would like to give the floor to Valery Grigoriev, Director for Digital Content, to tell us how the market is being transformed. We see new players, big players are appearing in this market, how publishing houses are adapting, and what new tools are used in these markets. Thank you very much, callers. Good afternoon. Very interesting to speak at this section. Sorry for online presentation. Talking about the digital books and publishing of digital books, we have seen sharp growth in this market. And when big players appeared from Yandex and MTS as a book service, we see new booming period, especially in the sector of audio books. We see the scope of users is expanding, huge interest in music, podcasts, and serials, and we see very active booming of this market. We adapted to challenges in the more complex content of these books and the products. So is use of AI, robo voicing, introduction of multi-voicing systems. So this is a highly complicated product. So it's not a simple streaming product. This is an individual approach to each release of the product. So talking about the development and the major drivers, these audio content, mixed content like podcasts. We think about new format like digital comics or webtoons and so on. So these are new products coming to the market, and old players also allow expanding the market and the penetration of digital content in the market, like classical books publishers. So the audience is changing, and we're getting closer to the users. It's of big value. That requires from the publishing houses is not only to get adapted, but maybe to transform into a sort of IT company, which with all streamlined processes, automated processes, where distribution is fully automated, where we have creative marketing and so on and so forth. So a new reality for the publishing houses is which we face now. Okay, thank you very much. My question to you, we understand under creative industries that book publishing houses are now having less drivers of growth. What measures are you taking now in order to rectify the situation? Because it is interesting for the participants of creative markets, where they can apply their skills. Yes, we see a new trend appearing in franchises. We see that it is important to get new authors and to bring them to new levels, especially in franchising. We sell more than 18 copyrights last year, and we're trying to train our authors, editors, so we developing training programs for them in order to generate new content for sale. And in principle, the production rights from IP, it's much close to the what we have in cinema, in movie industry. So we have writing work, then it could be transformed in electronic book, then probably rights for screenplay, then comics, manga, podcasts. So we are talking about the franchise management of the product and brand developing. It appears in many creative industries. We heard it from the movie experts, and we see the same trends in our industry as well. Thank you very much. Another question. AI, is it a threat or a possibility or opportunity? Both threat and opportunity. They go together. In our publishing house, we launched 15 projects on the basis of AI. We are talking about the screening of written works, because we received more than 500 written works from our authors. They need to be screened, so we use AI in order to assess and analyze all of these scripts in order to assess it from a point of view of possible access or provide reviews on them, and to decide what would be the fate of this script or written works, whether to publish it or not. That is why the use of AI in this case is extremely justified. So we also use AI for analysis of emotions, to analyze emotions of the readers during reading. So we see that experience of consumption, when what person can feel during this consumption is very important. So to get information about the consumer experience, and that is provide additional efforts and the benefits for us to improve the content of our production. And of course, we use AI for translation, for adjustments of books for audio books. So in fact, the creation of a book could be split in various blocks, and you can easily find the points where you can reinforce our efforts or the efforts of a human being using AI, especially while working with the content. Colleagues, thank you very much. Applaud. It's extremely important to understand which way leaders are taking, especially for startups and beginners. We have Sergey Alexandrovich Afanasyev. He joined us, coming back to the beginning of this meeting. What situation with the creative industry, what changes, how they affect the situation of the market? Yes, so we had meetings together with the governor, with the representative of specifically creative industry. Sorry for coming late. Of course, the meeting was very interesting. It's developing, and you asked the right questions. From year to year, we have been talking about the creation of a legislative framework. We have set up a register. We have a creative school, 3 schools of creative industry: Beloyarsk, Surgut, Khanty-Mansiysk. So students are taught, but we need to move from a word creative, which is very interesting, towards the word industry. So the production of knowledge, of skills, and in part of creative industry, it's already a healthy industry. Yesterday we discussed this, and at the meeting with the governor, we need to talk and to say that Khanty-Mansiysk is the capital of the creative industry in Russia. So we are doing a lot for our entrepreneurs from a point of view of schools of creative industry and from a point of view of financing. So the share, the strategic initiative agency, this of financing is 0.2%. This is a big amount, but we have a big potential as well. Recently, we look into statistics, and creative industry is partly related to the services. And in terms of services, Khanty-Mansiysk okrug or region is dragging behind, is in terms of amount of money. But in Moscow, this is 256,000 rubles. So everyone, every Russian goes to Moscow and spends money for creative industry. So on the basis of this statistical data, we are going to support and create additional support measures for the creative business and industry. Probably you have discussed these creative support measures. Like we see, these are new elements: creative industry, social entrepreneurship, youth entrepreneurship. These are very important bridges or big bridges between the powers and the business. So like in theory, the distance or the gap between business and authorities is narrowing because of these creative industries, and we shorten or narrow this gap between authorities and business. But we need to organize quite an adequate feedback from business. What specifically do they need? What do they feel? We against of just supporting business like the fifth wheel, providing numerous grants, sometimes abundant grants, creating funds for support, for strategy, and so on and so forth. And in fact, the business doesn't feel good in this environment. We just standing for initial support at the initial stage for startups, but without putting business on this eternal financial support needle. Of course, we are going to develop this method, strategy, and for us, the creative industry, from a point of view of smart industry development, of course, we understand IT sector from a federal point of view and from other points of view. Of course, already occupying a specific niche, but additionally to these things, we see these efforts like this. Thank you very much, Sergey Alexandrovich. Probably you can share some information about creative industry or companies which can export. So welding or metal companies, they are, or knife producing company is selling knives to China. It's quite an interesting experience. It's not a systematic thing. We need to promote this because export potential is very high, and the total amount of export is about $26 billion for the Khanty-Mansiysk region. But non-material intangible export is about $87 billion, and creative industry has just less than 2%. Of course, this is a solid, good niche, with good recognition, and we support the selling of products through e-markets or other electronic markets. Of course, we see the growing potential in that. Thank you very much. I'm very pleased to listen to such promising ideas. Let's move on, colleagues. Now coming back to the creation of content, I would like to give the floor to Alexei Bunkov and ask the question: what are priorities are used in order to support the projects for content creation? Can I ask to put my presentation on the screen, because I have some figures to present. In fact, we have two big areas for the support: national content and youth content. And just right now, we are collecting ideas about the support of these projects. If we talk about regional media is also supported. This everything dealing with the support of the family, interconfessional world, the science, and countering extremism and terrorism. This is what is related to the projects related to the regional support, regional media support, national content, sovereignty, and projects related to the historic or history of the peoples of our country. Everything which is aimed at positive development and promotion and boosting the cultural heritage. And of course, we understand that we have two more criteria. Bluntly speaking, this is the boosting popularity, because it is very important that people watch and listen to what state invested in, and so there should be demand for that. And of course, there should be fully implemented projects, and of course, if company applies for participation, it should bring this project up to the end, so the sustainability of the company should be checked. So, briefly, can you push the button?
За 23 год
So for 2023, our agency financed more than 400 projects. They were split among multi-format and special media projects, content for blog environment, and videos. The number of views supported by agency exceeded 6 billion.
Now is about 7 billion, because it keeps increasing, and here you can see top 3 platform most popular in Russia. Due to the present situation, all holders of Western content left Russia, and our audiovisual services were very popular, and now they have much more users, and among the most popular audiovisual platforms in Russia, the content supported by our institute ranges from 14 to 26%. 334 million views viewers were registered during this year. The share of content among our regional project created by online cinemas in Russia now equals 26%, and in general situation in Russia, talking about criteria and what is going on and what kind of future is awaiting for us. First, in Russia, the films filmed autonomously by people is 57%. Our Russians are developing their own content, and the video games are developed, keep developing in Russia. Marketplace for such plays are being developed, and we have cyber sports, common sport increasing. The advertisement market is developing, keeps increasing, and social services are 100% Russian. Well, among leaders, or the leader in Russia is VKontakte. Why do we do this? I briefly described the situation, present situation, and why we have what we have, and how we see the future. Well, first, we believe that a certain technological sovereignty should be achieved. This is part of the presidential decree. It's the issue related to our security, like in any other country. That's why we are developing scientific approaches here, and a lot of support measures have been adopted. What has to do with information security, we've discussed it already at the previous section and yesterday, talking about AI, and it has to do with content, because it's the story about content. And it's step number 2. All these tools, they are just tools, and they should guarantee humanitarian sovereignty, content sovereignty, or intellectual sovereignty. One can name it differently. And the content industry is the industry about sense, and we need to achieve this. We need competitive educational system. Now the educational system in Russia are under reforms. Now the national content should be in demand. One shall not forget the digitalization and preserving cultural heritage. We keep talking about this quite correctly, because this is the basis for training AI. This is the basic element for our values, for our traditions. So this is actually the basis for maintaining or preserving our nation. Technologies which we are recommending, they have to do with content, what and how we offer as a content to our users. This affects your vision of the world, and organizational and regulatory approaches. What shall be done with the content. And step number 3, we're talking about developing future. When we talk about creative industries, we talk about sense, content, and content, it's about future. That's why we should keep developing culture. In Russia, there are documents adopted in this area. We have draft law dealing with supporting creative industries, and here the work is quite dynamic. As a next step, we have to think about changing approaches to education in the technical and humanitarian area. In Russia, we trained dozens and dozens of thousands of civil servants in dealing with digital services. Now we have to go back when technical experts should be trained in humanitarian area, like they should be taught ethics, ethical principles in dealing with AI and what is going on in humanities. It's very important to also introduce in technical sciences, and we should have a vision of our further development and what kind of state we need in the future. So these are 3 steps which we envision, and that's it. Thank you. Alexey, thank you very much for your quite detailed presentation, for your description of how at the state level we support content. And now I give the floor to Maria Rogacheva, because the topic under discussion is very important. We keep talking about education, about youth, and Maria represents one of our main universities, which is working with the youth directly. So how you see creative industries in your work? Thank you for giving me the floor. I'd like to thank organizers. Well, I was fortunate to offer presentation as a creative director of ZIL. I talked about how one can merge budget sector with huge infrastructure. Maxim mentioned it, and in many aspects it's not working, and the state is investing a lot of money to support this infrastructure. But youth is not that eager, say, to visit libraries and the cultural centers. ZIL, I mentioned this already. Over there, we are art residence, accelerator of creative initiatives, this kind of programs and projects we've implemented. And they allowed representatives of creative industries to find the place where they can do what they are doing. When I was offered to work in Russian University of International Friendship, Patrice Lumumba, so everything actually merged there for me. So here the youth is over there, is studying there, and the university is has its own place in the world educational community. We are now number 316th university in the world. It's not bad. It's not bad. We are number 3 in Russia. It's a huge university, in spite of the fact that the basis of the university is not at all creative, but we have a very good reputation as a university which supports creative elements of our students. We are now opening a faculty, AI faculty. So before joining university, I was actually surprised to see that university is a modern one, and the creative cluster could be created there. And creative cluster, it's about commercial activity first and foremost. And when Creative Center ZIL was placed at the same level as Vinzavod, Flacon, design factory Flacon, we were glad to get this ranking, because a youth coming to these platforms, actually it was fashionable for them to visit such centers, and this youth energy atmosphere is present in certain universities, not creative universities, and it is part of my university work as well. And so we will work together with the information technology chair, and our creative cluster has as its main task to create its own creative products, but without modern technologies is not possible. Presently, I'm the head of Cultural Center with a very rich history. Next year, we will celebrate 65th year of our existence, and the Raduga cultural company will also represent us, and they know how to train foreign students, how to help them to learn Russian and via culture. And the head of this center has a unique methodology of how to learn foreign languages or folklore of different countries. In our university, students from 160 countries are studying there. When we prepare cultural programs, we offer, for example, songs in Malagasy language. It's a unique activity, and many students which used to sing in our cultural center, they come back to their countries and became actually cultural stars. So this is an analog of Producers Center, which we have in my university. We have our traditions. This year we managed, just before coming here, we managed to celebrate 35th festival, which is called Festival of the Southwest. We now are changing our formats, changing our contact, and June 11th, we organized Ethno Festival. We have people who are sticking to traditions, and we have youth which would like to add something new this year. We've added to this festival fashion défilé. It has two parts. We actually invited modern designers, and the second part, that's our students, foreign students who are bringing their national costumes, and they are performing, wearing them in spite of the fact that it was raining. We had a huge audience. As part of this festival, we organize exposition of different national communities, and students from different countries, they are they're telling the audience about their culture. They are wearing their national costumes, and they are trying to sell their own souvenirs made of leather or wood. We try to tell our students that it's not legal enough, but our intention is to legalize next year, to legalize this kind of souvenir trade. So with our participation, we have developed certain mechanisms which are making it possible to rent a place for a short period of time. But we have our university is located on a federal land, and to give an opportunity to students to earn money on a federal land. Well, there are certain legal collisions, but I hope that we will manage to solve them. And talking about use of AI, I'd like to show you a certain mistake of our designers. We involved a company which developed our design for us. We tried in one design to show the subtopic of festival and to represent different geographical regions represented in our university. And this festival was part of National Russia Day. So Russia is a country which is open for countries and for traditions and cultures of different countries. And on here, unfortunately, we actually didn't manage to see mistakes here. At the section dedicated to AI, we discussed mistakes of AI, and here as part of creative approach, we can see that students on the left, they've seen as a collective image of an Arab. People from Arabic countries said that clothes are wrong, and the representative of Africa she says that she looks like a girl from Egypt. So these mistakes we didn't notice. But when you have a short time for preparation, AI actually helps us to create certain images. Cluster, which I'm describing, probably it's not well, it's not our intention, part of our intentions. It's I'm working there for a year already, and we tried to join different contents in this cluster. And what we are declaring as a manifest of our cluster, be part, it's tough, to support our friends, it's good, etc., etc. So our aim is to unite science, international cooperation, innovative technologies in one place. But in the university, there are a lot of creative achievements, technologies, which are part of different faculties. They are not in one place together. So talking about creative industries, creation of our own video products, for example, not possible for students in open access, although we have different chairs, have different studios for education. We have our own TV, Rudian, we have our own newspaper, but students are quite eager to participate in this cluster. They would like to record subcasts. So our idea was to get together all we have in our university, and on this basis to create a single platform, a common platform, and I'll show you on the following slides what we've achieved. Our mission is to inspire and support creative international community of students as part of this innovation space cluster Inter, for them to be able to develop their creative horizons. And our main values has to do with research culture, friendship, international friendship, etc. Our main task is creation of a single operator and ecosystem of a cluster, the development of different products, and international coverage. I will not describe each and every slide. I have a lot of them. I would like to mention that we are still on the design stage, and the university as such is a modern educational center which uses modern technology. For example, to enter university, you should use Face ID technologies. We have all in digital form, and we have created multifunctional center in Moscow and in other regions. You can come to the center, and then with one click, you get a high quality service. And in our university, we have a center which actually provides centers like, for example, registration, or you can get any kind of service which are in demand among students. When you have in your own university all kinds of services provided, it's very good. And we are informationally advanced. We have each student and each professor has his or her own ID, and there are 36,000 students and 4,000 teachers. It's a huge number of persons. In spite of this, to detect unnecessary information, for example, where our museum or library is located, it's their working hours. This is an easy task to solve. In spite of our site, which is wonderful, to understand where this or that fora is organized, it's not that easy now for students inside university, and it's even more difficult for those who are outside. So we are preparing an inter-platform which will help to exchange information among cluster participants. We hope that we will reflect a catalog of our goods, of our research, of our publication, etc., etc. We need analytics and other kind of information, which is not easy, taking into account number of languages our students are speaking. Here we are offering different opportunities. So at the bottom you see a photo, which actually this was our idea of a stadium, but now we abandoned this idea. I hope that next year, Sergei Dmitrievich mentioned that next year we will have another conference here, and I will tell you then about specific things. Now we have our own building, which we will modernize by 2025. The university itself is renovating itself. We have a huge territory, huge campus, and sometimes when we invite guests to the main building, and then after the main building they visit my cultural center, it's quite uneasy. I feel certain uneasiness because my center is not that state-of-the-art place. So we are not talking only about creative industries and creativity as such, and I'm responsible for this. My colleagues also are dealing with innovation in processing garbage, upcycling, and other areas. I will not mention my partners now. I mentioned already creativity and products which we can today offer as our concerts, as our expositions, and they are in demand because our agenda is of an international nature. That's why participation in festivals, which we create ourselves, and we participate also in festivals organized all over the country. And another area is tourism. We have, well, I skipped this. Here, everything is clear. Here is our team dealing with this cluster. Those are my colleagues. Ostrovskaya Anna, she's in charge of the High School of Administration, and she's in charge of tourism. And Dalshanskaya Maria, she's the development director. She is pushing forward the solution of renovation projects. Well, the most important I've mentioned already. I believe that step by step, up to 2027, we will manage to move forward, making first step. Why we believe that we will succeed? Because we are following trends of our market, which is developing. We do understand what kind of participation we need in the support projects of our state. We have technologies and products existing today. We have wonderful partners with whom we discuss our development. We have existing system which should be developed further, and we have experts in different areas which will allow us to develop further this cluster. That's all I wanted to tell you. I hope that next year I will tell you about specific areas or specific results which I hope we will achieve by next year as part of this cluster. Thank you for briefing us about this interesting projects. Our conference is located in one of the regions of Russia. I believe that other regions are represented here. The more centers like this we have in different universities, the more students you will have willing to participate in such projects. With the highest School of Economics, we discussed this. The best, if we have a good level of education in a region, nobody will leave such region. Well, we keep moving forward, and we now are touching upon an important issue: is protection of intellectual property, the security or safety of creative sector. And I give the floor to Evgeny Nemov. He will tell us about mechanisms in this field. Thank you. I have a brief presentation. Well, you have time limits. Lunch is waiting for us. So probably I will answer certain issues if you have them. In the modern society, protection of intellectual property in IT plays a key role when it comes to development of innovative technologies and protection of right holders. And here we have different important aspects. First, intellectual property in IT sector means the use of authors and patent rights, which allow the holders to protect their products from illegal use and copying. And one should understand that the objects of author's right could be different. It's software, design, interface, and literature. In order to well, it's very important to protect authors' rights, and different methods could be used here for transmitting exclusive authors' right, like, for example, signing special agreements, licensing agreements, agreement to acquire rights, and the other forms to transfer intellectual property rights. Such measures allow the developers to protect their works from illegal use. And these methods are efficient when it comes to administering these rights and controlling the use of your works. The transfer of rights allows to administer intellectual property and to guarantee its protection. In IT sector, the protection of authors' rights, including software developers, play a key role in innovative approach. Authors' rights or copyright are one of the it's just a type of intellectual property which allows the authors to control the use of their works and get the remuneration. One of the methods is the registration of the software product according to existing rules, registration in Rospatent, registration in blockchain depositing, and the administration of rights in RC's network or in other network, which allows to create establish effect of creating a software, which could be useful in case of conflicts vis-a-vis rights of a software.
Usually, copyrights belongs to creator, if otherwise provided by legislation or the contract. So the software developers should be kept aware about their rights in terms of their copyrights in order to ensure the copyrights protection of the software developments. It is recommended to conclude a contract which defines specifically the rights and obligations of these sites in terms of usage and other acts with the software. So this is excluding the exclusive rights, which provides wider rights to the software developer. The understanding the specifics of the protection, legal protection for, especially for the software developers, is the important element for the promotion of this market. The conclusion of contracts and the awareness among these developers about their rights can guarantee the protection of their rights and rewards. In terms of the protection of intellectual property rights, in terms of the deposition, it's a unique process which requires a lot of attention. In IT sphere, we can talk about the patents which provides for a specific set of measures which can lead to specific results. So software developers can protect their innovative methods which contribute to the innovative revolution. This protection can be provided for specific algorithms of codes which broaden the possibilities of means of protection in IT market. It requires a professional approach and consultations or advisory how to protect their rights through patent bureaus and agencies. That ensures the avoidance of mistakes by the software developers in the protection of their rights. We need to look comprehensively in terms of protection of intellectual property rights. This comprehensive approach includes several important elements which should be taken into account to ensure efficiency of the legal protection for the owners. One of these elements is the protection of the size and external view of the product. It could be unique and have a commercial value. This is a priority task for the IT companies. In order to protect the products of IT production, we need to look at specific elements like the appearance of the product, content, and so on and so forth, and with specific elements, and to prevent, in order to prevent the disputes, is a very important element, and one of the elements in IT sector is the use confidential arbitrage. It allows to promptly resolve all the dispute, maintaining the confidentiality and saving times and resources. In conclusion, I would like to say that the intellectual property rights protection plays a very important role in IT sector and ensures the evolution of this sector. Thank you very much, Evgeny. Very important presentation, very important topic, and it's very important to maintain the balance here. When we talk about the safety and security, we need to look also to the other side, how to earn money and profit on this sector. And last but not least, I would like to give the floor to the entrepreneurial society of the UGRA, Bulat Safulin, one of the representative of the business society of the region. Good afternoon. I'm happy to listen what I have listened. If it's really so, then there is nothing to talk about. Some political events change the situation. Earlier, we had two festivals, White Nights in St. Petersburg and Davgar in Moscow. If you need software developers, you go to Moscow. If IT companies, you go to White Nights. We have now only one festival, Igra Prom. Here, it's just rather about advertising. You will never find experts there. So this is about the promotion of this sector. Second problem, speakers spoke about this staff training, and they said that many experts left. Those who stay, they are poorly qualified, and so on and so forth. So they need training. But I think that we need to have some reinforcement to invite experts, specialists. If a top expert comes to a company, then the company starts booming, at least at those examples that I have seen. Financial support at the beginning, at the startup, I believe system is working perfectly well. Grants are issued in my native town, Surgov. If I a software developer, my tool is a computer. I'm not in a position to incorporate it into my expenditures. It's not the right thing. Loans for startups, startups are small companies like a garage where a bunch of young people start something new. No one is paying salaries to each other. It's not a big company. And today someone asked a good question. If all the smart guys, rather than putting them on this Grand Eagle, they need to be financially supported otherwise. But I believe if we have 3 million rubles, for example, you need to spend them for reinforcement of these smaller companies in order to ensure their efficiency. And yes, I agree, we don't have strong players, referring to the game industry. Like someone points to a guy saying, yes, this guy is doing very good games. We used to have a good company, Moonfish, but they left for Cyprus. So we need to look around in order to find other solid companies. So to sum up, everything is good, and my wish is just not create additional barriers, and everything would be good. Thank you very much, colleagues, especially the representative of the authorities. I believe this game industry is already ripe for this region. I would like to give the floor Artem Burlutsky, who will tell us about the situation in their sector. Good afternoon. Thank you for the time and possibility to tell about the situation. I am General Director General of the Avantgarde company. We are working in the unmanned air vehicles, provide services in monitoring, education, training, and so on. As of today, our team focuses on project development for staff training for this sector. And I would like to express our gratitude to the region for the regional support for the infant, my business fund, we were financially supported. We received a financial certificate, which allow to speed up some stages of our project. And I would like to single out the proposal. The support we receive from the region is well enough for the start in this business, but we are talking about the creativity industry, and I would like to mention another area in the creativity industry, which is sometimes linked with the culture and education, but sometimes the engineering sector is omitted and or is disregarded. But the new technologies allow to create new technologies at the same time. So we would like to see better penetration of engineering and technological elements into the creativity industry, creative industry. And we need to promote this so that people from engineering and technical block could feel the support, like in my sector, UAVs, and they could have a wider view on the results of their work in the creativity industry. I believe Artyom touched upon a very important topic. We have been talking for 5 years about creative industry, meaning fashion, education, culture, but the engineering ideas and products sometimes are disregarded. Even Россtat statistics, we don't have these elements in the register. Probably we need to come up with some initiatives before the authorities, saying that the bigger part of engineering ideas should be also reflected in the statistics related to the creative industry. Thank you very much. Alexey Ivanov, next, to tell about the wonderful center of the youth creativity, barriers, problems, achievements. Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me, share experience, and look for the experience of others. I'm a director of a Center of Innovative Technologies of Technopark and a resident of Skolkovo Park, additive technologies, focusing on development of digital twins. We have another bunch of projects related to the youth creativity innovations. This is about the cooperation with authorities to develop the structures and infrastructure for kids and young people in the creative industry. Everything that has been said quite logical and is related to what I'm referring to, because the common sense is pushing us through tutorship, through innovative practices, practical training. We need to cover, to include new people, new teams into administrative communication, scientific research communications. And by doing so, we would accumulate and translate the experience while feeding each other with best practices. Of course, we have some challenges. We see that some good experts are leaving, and we feel the lack of good content or top content experts like Elon Musk, who organized a lot of tenders. So we don't have the same class of figures from Rostech, Roscosmos, and we feel the lack of them, the huge deficit, which would promote or push forward these processes, which prompt the young people to move in the same direction. And when the young people from the regions are going first to centers, and after that they go to Moscow, St. Petersburg, Kazan, Sochi, and abroad. But when we are talking about the two-way street, but we now have only one-way street, and there is no competent or ideological tutorship programs, which are very important. And when we see people, young people, are leaving from the regions to join Moscow, St. Petersburg universities or companies, and after graduating them, we're trying to invite them to our companies. We're trying to make friends with them and be gravitation centers for them if they are looking for jobs for their future. My personal experience, for example, could say so, if briefly. Colleagues, we are heroes. We just managed to fit the time frame. We have quite a comprehensive, informative dialogue. It's very good that all the participants realize their role in the entrepreneurship. Pardon, question? Sorry. There was a question which was asked as a question for discussion. It would be very interesting to listen to probably several answers. How you measure the input of creative industry into the life of other regions in a qualitative manner or quantitative manner? Colleagues? So far, in a quantitative manner, by value of taxes they are paying, and it's very good for the social situation, social adjustments. But currently, we measure their contributions in quantitatively. The situation with the innovative approaches of creative industries sometimes is very difficult. These startups should be in existence for 10 years in order to ensure the return of investment. We have been dealing with for many years for creative industries and expecting some dividends. That's ridiculous, and but in general, the overlook is such that so far we can measure this situation quantitatively, and of course we will keep working on that.
Да, пожалуйста.
Yes, please.
Можно я одну реплику себе позволю?
Just briefly.
Шариков Александр Вячеславович, профессор школы
Шариков
экономики
Alexander
Института медиа.
Vyacheslav, High School of Economics, Media School.
Назад, еще до ковида,
Some time
достаточно давно,
ago,
в
before the
разных
pandemic,
но был интересный проект, который
there was a
назывался
very
как раз
interesting
телевидение.
project
Он очень
related to
показательный.
TV sector.
Он назывался
It
12
was
зол
called
телевидения.
12 Evils
Провели
of
большой
TV
социологический
or
опрос по всем
television.
канонам.
A huge
Был
public
репрезентативный. В
survey was conducted, and I worked in a sociological service of ВГТРК, and we ask people what is annoying them while watching TV, and the first place was, of course, commercials. People hated commercials, and of course, I also getting annoyed each time entering the internet, and I see endless commercials, especially video commercials or advertising. If you look only into the economic indicators, you are making a big mistake because you're running against the public sentiment. Once again, you need to raise a question about balance, maintaining balance of the audience of media consumption. I don't like this word, but still. And on the other hand, the interest of purely business community. This is a weak point which needs further studies. And if we talk about new parameters, new measurement indicators, then you need to look for something somewhere here. I would like to reply. This is a step back because it's very difficult to justify using only economic indicators. Commercials allow to push forward the content creation. Either we pay for TV without commercials, or we watch free of charge, but with the commercials. It's like on YouTube. If you are not eager to watch commercials, then pay for subscription. Or probably we need to use other ways of creating paid content and pay to the creators. If we say that this content would be funded by the state, then the content would be very poor, and we don't have any competitive content rather than the commercials or payment. You will see protectionism and strengthening of the state role, especially in TV, without any commercials, and everything would be funded by the state. Then I believe that would be a step back. But of course, I will support you in the search, in the common search of the balance. If people are hating to watch commercials, can I reply? Do I have this possibility? 10 seconds. I didn't raise a question to remove commercials. I'm asking about search for a balance. It's a different way. No one is annoyed by the commercials or advertising in the magazines. You can just skip it. But if you watch Tarkovsky, Solaris, and suddenly it is cut, interrupted by the commercials, then the annoyance is high. Two brief comments and we end.
Здравствуйте, меня зовут Амира
Hello,
Тукаева.
Amira Tukayeva, Director General of the company and charity fund. Here we raised a question that we took into account only indicators, but we also should talk about the people's diplomacy. Maria Zakharova is playing a very important role, and is that we are paying much attention to the people's diplomacy. Volunteers demonstrate the clothes produced and designed by my daughter, who died 4 years ago. So you are talking about the flee of the expats to foreign countries, but she returned. She had to patent registered in foreign countries. We finalists of brand contest, and so far I still in a position to get license to open showroom. The protection of IPRs. So we need to have more specific legislation that designers should have broader rights. If I'm not in a position to open showroom, I feel drastic needs to open testing rooms or in internet. Probably it could be done in internet space in order to ensure the protection of IPRs. Thank you very much. What kind of municipality you are talking about? And thank you very much for your support.
Можно я включусь тогда? Ну, видно, поддержки недостаточно. Давайте после
So probably
стола еще поговорим.
I will talk to you after this round table. Thank you very much. Just briefly about the importance of maintaining balance and changes in efficiency rates. One of our organizers, Russian Committee Information for All, they have some publications on social efficiency in a cultural sphere. You can look into these publications and similar works. They have a lot of quantitative and qualitative measure indicators which could be applied in order to assess the changes in the social life of any state. Thank you very much. Two lyrical concluding words. If before any governor can boast of perinatal center, now we are talking about different things, cultural spheres, and the younger people who are eager to work in these spheres. Thank you.